Hey everyone, Mark Thompson from the Angular team here, joined by my esteemed colleague, guest, Angular team lead, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Jeremy Elborn. Jeremy, how are you doing?
Mark Thompson, I told you about Blue Sky so long ago.
You did. You did. And here I am. I'm a
Yeah,
blue
and
sky.
now everyone is on Blue Sky. It's the thing.
It's the thing. They're getting like, you know what I think is interesting from an engineering point of view is just how much they've probably had to ramp up in the last 3 weeks because they're getting like 1 million users per week.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah, they're doing great. But they're using for the native app, they're using React Native.
Yeah, I heard that.
So
Because someone tagged you on Blue Sky being like, "Can you help us optimize
that's
this
right.
React Native app?"
That's right. That's right. Oh, yeah, they were like, yeah, I'm on the Angular team. Um, so not React Native. That was pretty funny. But at least that person knew that I was doing technology work, which is great. But yeah, it's a great showcase for React Native. It's a great showcase for decentralized identity in social networks. It's a great showcase for non-algorithm based social network, which is also very interesting. I wonder how much that will influence how long people stay once they figure out that they won't be like fed suggestions. You know what I mean? It will just be like based on your actual interests and stuff. So that's interesting. I want to see what they end up doing.
Yeah. I'm still debating whether I want to buy a domain to use as a username.
Yeah, you should.
It's
You
like,
should. Wait, you
it's
aren't like every developer that has like 20 domain names that they aren't using?
No, I have only ever owned one domain, and that domain was mal.dog. My dog back here, his name is Mal.
Yeah.
And I owned mal.dog, but then I let it go when Google shut down Google Domains
Oh yeah.
because I liked using Google Domains. It was one of my favorite Angular apps. And then Google
So
shut
good.
the product down,
So good.
and I didn't feel like switching over to Squarespace, and so I just let the domain go. However, if you actually still go to mal.dog, I think it still redirects to my old, like the redirect I had, so it's technically still working even though I'm not paying for it anymore.
Dang. Dang.
So if you'd like to see photos of my dog, you can see
Go to
those on
Mal
like
got dog.
abandoned domain.
Check this out though. We got to say hi to some people. We got to do our thing. You know we have to do it.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on, VP? Let's good to see you. Let's see, Evgeny, what's up, friends? What's going on? Good to see you. I'm so sorry. My glasses are failing me. I should probably bring this window closer to me so that way I can actually see, because I can't see from this far back. Oh, that's so much better. How could I have gone so far? Ilya, what's going on? Good to see you. Michael, small in the building. Yeah, on Blue Sky. MarkTexan.com on Blue Sky. And I think Jeremy is Jailborn.
Yeah, it's right now it's in my like tag here on the stream, but it's like jailborn.bsky.social, just the default one.
What happened to our tags? They used to be up here.
I don't know. You're the StreamYard pro.
Yeah, I'm about to StreamYard complain because I don't know what happened to our tags. They used to be up there. I don't know how to change it either. So I don't know what to do. But I'll look for that because our tags and our names used to be up there. Yeah, it says it. What? Okay, whatever. Anyway, let me say hi to more of our friends here because they've been waiting for us to hang out. Okay, what's up from Norway? Petter, what's going on? What was that? Peter Petter? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Winder, what's up? What's up? What's up? Good to see you. Andres, what up? What up? What up? Okay, Sina, good to see you. Who else is here? Abel de la Fuente, what up from Barcelona? What's going on? Yashraj, what's up? Hello, 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 hello. Jeekster in the building. What's going on? World, hello, people. What's up? Tomer, yeah. Oh, what's going on? Evgeny, are you in Barcelona as well? Evgeny, do you speak Spanish? Is that a thing? Um, Felix, hello from Ethiopia. What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. I need to learn some more. Like, I'm telling you, I got to be able to read this at some point. I gotta be able to say the words there. Um, let's see, Jerome, bonjour. How are you doing? Good to see you. Got to actually, funny story, interesting story. I got to meet Jerome in person at NG Poland. I was in Poland 2 weeks ago. Poland is wonderful. What a lovely country filled with lovely people. Had a great time there. Alcatraz, what up? Google domains was so clean. Agreed. We agree to that, right, Jeremy? We both agreed to
Yeah,
that.
I liked it as a product.
Yeah. Okay. If you said, "What's up, Mel?" Mel getting some love, but I think that's Matt from Mal. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Matthew? Bonjour, Matthew. Okay, Luya, what up? Hi there, welcome. Take Yamba in the building was good. Nice setup, Mark. Thank you. I am in the liminal space, the void, but I do have a plan. Over the holiday season, I'm going to take some time off from everything, even from the internet, probably, and I'm going to build a set in here. And I don't know how to do it, but you know what? I'm kind of like Jeremy in the fact that like you just learn how to build stuff, right? Like you go and you just do it. How was your project coming, Jeremy?
Oh, my woodworking project?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't worked on it in a long time.
You got to finish
Been
stuff.
been too busy working. Had a lot to do for v19.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's see. Malice is running it himself. That's true. What's going on, Hamza? What's going on? Hi, NG people. Javi, what's good? What's good? What's good? Luciano from Brazil. Ciao. Good to see you. Thanks for Time Picker and RX Resource. You know, you're welcome. We made that especially for you. So glad you enjoy it. We shut it down, not Google shut it down. Hey, we did not shut it down ourselves. We don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah. See, this is a common misconception people have. A lot of people think that Google is just one person who walks around making decisions about 10,000 things a day. Google is actually tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people who have their own goals and agendas and do their own things. And we just work on Angular.
We work on Angular. That's what I like to say. Okay, I'll say hello to a few more people, and then Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and get your code editor working and set up?
Oh yeah, I'll present my screen here.
Our final hellos.
I'm going to share entire screen.
Do it. Do it. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and add. Let's see.
We updated the starter app. All right.
The Knight says, "Hello, Angular. What up? What up? Blue Sky's a new trend. Hey, trends are only trends until they last, right? Everyone is scrambling for Blue Sky names. I'm not, because I have my own domain, so I knew who I was going to be. What Google site uses Angular a lot? GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Messages, Gemini, thousands internally. I mean, it's
Google Fonts.
Google Fonts.
Google Fonts is boneless.
In production, Bob.
In production, go to fonts.google.com, pull up the console, check out window.zone. You'll see that's undefined.
Did you know you can use domain as Blue Sky? Oh, that's not for us. That's for somebody else. Hello from Vladimir. Hello from Nicaragua. Okay, hello from Egypt. VR. Hello, mate. What's up from South Africa? Hello, Munir. Hello, Thompson Carlos. Oh, cousin Thompson. I like that energy, Thompson Carlos. Okay, Evgeny, tú hablas español, me encanta, porque yo puedo hablar en español. See, friends, I can speak Spanish, so it is always fun when I get to talk to people. So it's pretty good. Oh, look at this. It's a good answer. Good answer. Evgeny in the building. All right, that's enough saying hi. If I didn't say hi to you, know that I am still excited about you being here. Hi from Florida. Oh, you speak Spanish down there, Javi? Oh, Jose. What's up from Dallas? What's up, Kevon? Good to see you. It's so many friends. Hello from Canada. Hello. So many people. Hello. All right, what's going on? Hello from Spain. So many people from Spain coming in. NG Poland was awesome. So happy to meet you there with the local community. Yo, Jeremy, I sent you a text message from NG Poland. Could you tell the people what it was about?
Text message from NG Poland. Was it about the Angular documentary, Mark?
Angular documentary. It was incredible to be in the room where people were eating popcorn and like drinking like soda and watching us on a movie screen. That was incredible, Jeremy.
Well, I wasn't there, so I'll take your word for it, but I have seen a rough cut. I haven't seen the finished version, but I've seen a rough cut of the documentary, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. But like I said, it's just it's hard to explain the feeling of watching yourself on the movie screen. That's why I had to text you. I sent Jeremy, so I recorded a video and I sent a message to Jeremy like, dude, you have to see yourself on the screen. Maybe not everybody's as like excitable about that type of stuff as I am, but I just felt like it's like a celebrity in that moment, and it was just really, really rad. So that's pretty good. Good morning, New Angular. What's up, Lawrence? Lawrence is really interesting. Lawrence works on a product that does it's called Vaadin, and they have like the Hilla framework and some other tools, but they do Java on the front end, but not with JSPs. It's a really interesting tool. So shout out to Lawrence in the building for that. Thanks for coming by and hanging out.
All right. Should we get doing some demoing here?
Yeah, there are so many people in here, so we can't say hi. We were saying hi for the next 30 minutes, but I will say hi to Brandon Roberts and New Kendra just dropped, and I got to check that out after this. Let's go.
All right.
All right.
So
All right.
I figured we could show off link signal and resource.
Yeah.
How's that sound? I think that's a good starting point, similar to what we've showed off before in other streams. So let's go ahead and go to our...
Your file tree is not visible, or like legible, but the rest of your code is, so.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You don't need to see the files.
All right.
What's this? Oh, do I need to like update my WebStorm because it doesn't know that standalone is the default now?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you can just ignore these red squiggles because I'm using an old version of WebStorm. I haven't updated it yet. I'll add standalone true to trick it, even though it's actually the default now. But it's not Angular. It's just because I haven't updated my IDE in a bit.
Yeah. Okay, wait, I gotta say something real quick to the people. Panos, keep an eye out for a sighting of Mark Texan in Greece next year. Can't say where, can't say why. Just keep an eye out.
I don't know. You're gonna be annoyed if I update my IDE, Mark?
Nope. You do that, and then I'll talk with some of the people.
Well, I might be able to test type while I'm letting it download. Here. No, check for updates. I don't want to have to write standalone true.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that. So update real quick while I tell these people what's happening. The way Angular is improving is impressive. Mohammed, thank you so much for acknowledging that. We have been working really hard. I'm not just being facetious. I'm not just telling jokes. The team has been really working, and every time we talk about the next release, we all are like, okay, there's no way we can top what we just did. Let's not set expectations super high. And then somehow we just keep on like adding features that the streets love. Jeremy, is that a true or false statement that we have the same conversation every time about how we're not going to be able to top the previous release?
Wait, say that again. I was too busy updating my WebStorm.
No, I was just telling people how like we always are like, yeah, this release is big, but the next one we don't want to set expectations that are going to be like huge again, and then we end up doing it somehow. But it's not intentional; it just happens.
Yeah, like it's become kind of a running joke now that we're trying to make Minko write a longer blog post every release, and we keep telling ourselves like, yeah, we're gonna like tone it down, right? We can't keep making them bigger forever, and then they keep ending up being longer and longer.
Longer and longer. It's pretty funny. Bop v19 in the house. Widespread, what's going on? Shout out to you. Thank you for showing up. So this guy Widespread, I actually know him, and he does these like really incredible AR VR web experiences, and he even took apart his car to make part of it like AR and put a screen in there. It was really rad, like some really cool stuff. So shout out to you for pushing the boundaries on the web. And he he's a career switcher too. He was doing like this other like manual job, and then was like, yep, I'm gonna learn how to code, and then switched and taught himself how to code and just been crushing it, doing really great.
Yeah. I think we got a question or two if you want to answer those while we're
I can. Let's see.
Progress bar.
Yeah, let's do that. WebStorm versus Vue Code.
Thrilling content.
Which is best for Angular? Whatever one you want to use. Jeremy will say WebStorm.
Hey, I'll say like my personal preference. I love WebStorm. I need WebStorm to live my life, but you know, people seem to like VS Code, I guess. And is it still?
Make sure the plugins and stuff are updated. But yeah, I like both. I think WebStorm is fantastic. So every tool has its like benefits and pros and cons. I think WebStorm, one of the things that is like once you learn about the shortcuts and the tools, it's like unrivaled in power, right? Like it's like there's no way you can catch up to like how in depth like the whole IntelliJ kind of platform is. It's just really fantastic. And VS Code has a really huge community like support. So for plugins and stuff. So you just find a tool that works for you. Will I be in any other musicals? So I was in one musical that I produced myself, which is a conference talk. I want to do more music on stage. We'll see, Michael. We'll see.
Okay. So maybe WebStorm hasn't actually put out an update yet for treating standalone as true by default. So I'll still write standalone, even though you don't actually have to anymore.
This is a super important thing. WebStorm is free now. I do want to make sure we don't misrepresent the tool. It is free for non-commercial use, I think, or is it commercial use?
Non-commercial.
Non-commercial is free. So there you go. Lots of people in the chat are with you, Jeremy. You have spread your influence. Look at this.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It is a personal preference, but I really like just to like show one feature I love, right? Like I can put my cursor here in this string and I can hit Control W and it selects the like token that I'm on. And as I press Control W again, it keeps expanding the selection. Like you get to the line, you get to the inside of the object literal, the whole object literal, whole function call, right? It's just like such a useful feature. And then you can start narrowing the selection as well.
Okay, that is crisp. I'm not gonna lie to you. That is crisp. So is it now working where it's no longer complaining?
It's no longer complaining because I added standalone true. But I guess the WebStorm just hasn't updated yet to understand that standalone is the default now. So if you're writing your own Angular app, you no longer have to put standalone true there anymore. It's just the default.
Yeah, just the default. Okay, let's see.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add this little come over here and we're gonna put like
well, tell the streets what you're gonna do first, so they can be a part of the story.
I am just gonna show off some of the new signal-based APIs that we have in version 19. Yeah, and so here's what I'm gonna do. I created this little demo component and I'm going to create an input here called shipping options. And this is just going to be an input, and it's going to default value to array, but it's going to be, we'll call this like, we're going to create a little type real quick. So we'll say like export interface shipping option, and it's just going to have like a name, a string, and have, an ID as a string. And we'll just say like price is number. And so this is going to be a shipping option array. So, and we're just going to list out that like list of shipping options here just as a starting point. So we'll say for let O of shipping options, and we'll just put O dot name. And then that's gotta make sure to read that. What did I do wrong there?
Oh, do you have to not put without let?
Oh, do we not do let anymore? This shows you how much I code anymore. And then we'll do track o.id, just so we
okay, you're gonna add the ID in there. Let's go. I like that energy.
That's why I added an ID. So the track is required, as we know.
Sure. No, I just like that you put the ID because most people are gonna put like the value itself as a track. They're like track O, right? But track O ID is just good, better design. I like that.
And then I'm just gonna create like something to pass into it over here. So like, well, let's just do like shipping options equals create this. This is all set up. So like ID 1. Give me a fake carrier name, Mark.
Sure. Super Air.
Super Air.
Mhm.
Super Air sounds expensive.
It is.
Fake.
They're the worst.
So we're gonna do a few of these.
All right, Bread X.
Bread X. Yeah, I like that. Bread X.
There you go.
They sound cheap.
Wait, do EX instead.
No.
Oh,
so we'll call that Ground Deluxe.
okay, there you go.
Ground Deluxe and Mole People.
What?
You know, people who like they dig underground. That's the most expensive one.
That's the most expensive. Jeremy, do you watch any Apple TV Plus shows or no?
Ted Lasso I've seen, and
What about Silo?
I haven't watched Silo, but I'm eagerly anticipating Severance season 2.
We got Silo 2 before we got Ted Lasso. I mean, or Severance 2, which is really mind-boggling to me. Okay, continue. Sorry, I was just thinking. We said Mo People. I was thinking about people underground. I started thinking about Silo. Yeah. Hey, friends at home, we are tracking your questions, so don't worry. You will have times to get your answers here. Let me just say a couple things real quick. Mark, you have a beautiful table. What is it? This is actually particle board. This is not. This is all props. So I wouldn't even think about it. But thank you. What really have to be behind the scenes for track? Oh, that's a good question. You want to answer this now or later?
Go ahead and hit me your question. I can answer while I'm talking.
So what really happens behind the scenes when you use track?
So track is how Angular figures out which DOM element corresponds to which item in the array. Normally, like if you go back to ng4, right, and you what was the name of this real quick? It's app demo and app root. I want both of these to be display block. But like with ng4, if you don't specify anything, right, you don't specify a track by, then Angular has no way of knowing like which data item is associated with which DOM element, to where if that item moves inside of that array. So like here in my like shipping items, say I reorder this so that this element comes down to the 3rd position. Angular has no way of being like, even though this is in a different index, I know it's the same thing, because, and it has to be like, well, that means I have to destroy the old dominant element and create a new one. Whereas if you say like, oh, track ID, it will say like, okay, this array changed, but I'll just look at the ID and see like, even though like this moved down here, I see the ID is the same. So instead of destroying and recreating the DOM, I will just move that node to a new location. And so it lets Angular kind of more optimally do what it needs to.
Okay, wait. Somebody's saying that you need to put your li inside your loop, and you didn't do that. Did you not?
Oh, did I mess up? That's what I get for talking while I'm coding. Yeah, that should be inside the loop. Good catch.
Well, that's also the beauty of like coding in front of the community, is that they are like watching and they're able to like be our co-pilots here. No pun intended. Look at that. Rababop.
I don't know why. What is going on here with this being side by side? What
I bet you the H1 has some styles in it.
I'm just gonna get rid of all this CSS I came with.
I think you should.
I wanted to keep the fancy font, but
I think it's what, enter tight or intermediate.
So there we go. We got our very baseline browser styles here, and we'll just live with it.
Yeah, for now.
So, yeah, we got our normal signal-based input here, and so now I wanna select one of these shipping options, right? I've got my like, here, we'll even change the name of this from demo to like shipping chooser.
Component.
Not putting component at the end. We don't have to talk about the style guide RFC today. We only have so much time.
Oh man, I just love that. I love that. Keep going.
And so we're going to create some local state here, right? So we're going to say selected option. And we can start off by saying like, like this is just a signal, and it's going to be a signal of shipping option, just like our selected shipping option. And that should let me do none, right? Because then it's just, I guess I'll just say like undefined. All right, or undefined. So it can be that. So we could do that. And we can have some like something that's going to be like update selected option. And we'll say this dot selected option. And actually, instead of passing in the option, we're just going to say like option index is number. And dot set this dot shipping options of that option index. What are you complaining about now? Implicitly has type. Oh, because I didn't invoke it. So we've got this to like update this state, right? And let me just move this.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you, but I did not want to interrupt you.
Yeah, I can do that. So we've got some local state that reflects our selected option. Like ignore the fact that we don't actually have a way of selecting it. But like say I build some like kind of list box or picker that's going to let me pick this. So it's like, all right, I got this selected thing here. But this is an input up here, right? The shipping options. This over here could change anytime. I can put some code over here that's going to change this array. And then this selected option is going to be stale. It's no longer going to, like, you might have selected an option that's no longer even in this array. And so this state, the state of this selected option, depends on the state of this input up here. And so what do we do about that? Well, with version 19, we have a new API called linked signal for when you have some state that is linked to some other state. And so with this, we can even get this, I think we can get this out of here. And instead of passing in just a flat value here now, we can pass in a little computed expression, which is going to say this dot shipping options of 0. We'll just say like we're going to pick the first one by default. And just to show,
you said compute it right there. Could you extract that computed to like its own computed property and pass that in, or do you have to do it inline like this?
You're doing it like this because you're not passing like a computed per se. Although we will kind of get to a more advanced API where you could do that. But you are providing a computation, right? In the same way that you provide a computation to the computed function. And so what this is going to do now is just to kind of show this off is I'm going to add like a little CSS class here to this li, and we'll say like this is actually we'll say selected, but we actually don't want to do it like that. We want to do it like class.selected, and it's the o.id equals the selected option.id. And let's go ahead and add some CSS to that. So we're going to say that selected, let's just make it font weight, no, not width, weight, bold, and color Rebecca purple.
Rebecca purple. Wow.
Okay. And so what should be happening now is that the first option should get selected. Especially because we're never calling this. So this should be the default state of that. And so it's not showing up. Let me see if that selected class is on there. That selected class is on there. The styles just didn't load.
Let's see. Why is it grayed out though? Go back. It's grayed out for some reason. Why is that?
That's a good question. That's very strange. What happens if I just change that to li?
Yeah.
I think my styles aren't showing up when I reload for some reason. Because it seems that's there. Let me restart my dev server real quick just to see if that is the culprit.
All right, while you're restarting, let's see. People are saying stuff, and I want to know what they're saying. So first and foremost.
Oh, you know what it is? This is in the wrong component. That's why.
Ah, there you go. See,
this
there you go.
I'm just going to put it in here because I'm lazy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how I can translate this sentence, but I can't. But I did look up this sentence. I think it said Brother Mark. If it does not, let me know if I'm getting myself in trouble. Let's answer some questions while you're doing that. Okay, you got that working. Let's pause for some questions. Okay, is incremental hydration similar to HTTP streaming in terms of the rendered HTML?
No, they're two very different things.
Yeah, these are different.
So incremental hydration is where, I don't know, taking a step back, I don't know how deep we want to go, but hydration is where you have some server rendered or build time pre-rendered HTML document, and that shows the user immediately. And then hydration is where it loads the JavaScript and adds all of Angular's interactivity. And so before version 19, you could only hydrate the whole page all at once.
Right.
But with incremental hydration, Angular can hydrate just specific pieces of your page incrementally, bit by bit. And it is based on kind of user interaction or however you want to configure it in your defer API. Streaming is where when the browser makes a request to the server, it is, instead of waiting for the entire HTML document to be done and then sending it back, it's sending it out bit by bit as that document is being produced. And so a lot of times with other tools that can support this, they will be as they're rendering components, they're creating HTML tags in that output stream and sending them to the client. And then they might hit a point where it's I need to request more data here. So it requests more data, the stream isn't emitting anything, that data resolves and starts emitting more elements. And the benefit of that streaming is that it lets the user start seeing the UI much more quickly instead of having to wait for the latency of the whole document being complete. Angular does not support that streaming today, but it is a feature we would very much like to add at some point. We've talked about it a fair bit, but we just haven't gotten that far yet.
All right, stop for a second. Let's see. So maybe for the future, I would love the demo to how to refactor and manage theme with the new Angular Material API. So that's something we probably do in the future. We probably won't have time to do it today, but good feedback. Thanks for letting us know that's what you're interested in. All right, let's get some more code on the screen.
Yeah, so we saw it is selecting our first option now, which is exactly what we want, right? The default value of this thing, just break that so it's a little easier to see. It's always going to select the first thing. And so what happens if we manually update the state of this link signal? So let's add a button that does that. We'll add a click, and we're going to say update selected option. And what are we going to pass in? I'm just going to pass in 2. Again, because I'm lazy and I don't feel like select option 2. I don't feel like adding a text input. So I click that, and we see that option 2 is now selected. And we can see that we're able to write to this, and we have moved on from that default value. So cool. That's all good. But what happens if we change this the shipping options here? So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a signal real quick. Signal that, and then we'll let this. Oops. Let's just get rid of that, and then say shipping option array there. And then we need to read that signal in our template. So that's all well and good. But what happens if this shipping options that I'm binding in changes? And so let's add another button that changes that.
Wait, Jeremy, this is a small but important thing I would love for you to just touch on real quick.
Yeah.
You see how you passed in the value of the signal, but your input was the signal? Can you talk to the people about that real quick?
Yeah, so Angular does this glue for you. So in this template here, I'm passing the value of the signal. And over here, I'm calling input, and I'm getting a signal out of that. And this is because when you're using a signal input, Angular makes sure it's always giving you a signal no matter what, right? Like whether your component is given a flat value or whether it's given a signal, like, if you are like reading a signal, like the contract is the component accepts a value and Angular gives you a signal of that value changes. And so here, the contract is not that I give a signal, the contract is that I give the value. So I read the signal, but Angular knows that it is tracking this read and is able to like update the signal that it's giving you as it changes. So I want to add a button here, and we're just going to call this change shipping options. Change options. And we're going to go ahead and introduce that method. And how do we change this? Well, let's start off by just saying this dot shipping options dot update and hold options. Actually, I'll just say like ops. And then we'll just say options dot pop to remove one.
Whoa. Wait, I have a point of pain I need to tell the people about before.
Oh, well, hold on one sec. I can't just pop, but
you gotta. I just have to do.
I gotta like actually remove one.
You gotta update, yeah.
Yeah, actually, let's just add another option. So let's just say like options.
Oh, you know what you could do? You could shift.
Well, so I wanted a here options dot. This is probably going to be the easiest thing. Just filter to like o dot id not equals 1. What's this complaining about now? Oh, I need to put that.
Oh, is that because of 1 second? Somebody's asking a good question. They're like, "Well, why is selecting ground deluxe when you pass in 2? Shouldn't ID be 2?" But it's not selecting by ID, it's selecting by index there.
Yeah, I'm just selecting it by index.
Right, not by ID. That's why. Yeah.
Cool.
Good question.
So if I'm thinking correctly here, actually, I want to remove. Yeah. So this is gonna. If I hit change options, it's gonna remove the first option, and so I'll do that. And now the first one is selected. And so here's where we see the real, like, the value of this link signal is I can come in, I'll select option 2, and then I hit change options. And because the options changed, it's like, well, the options changed. My selection doesn't necessarily make sense anymore. I'm going to go back to this initial value. And in doing that, it will go back to this like first index here.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's maybe not what we want, because I had option 2 selected here. I didn't, and this option is still here. Index. So that kind of brings us to the next phase of this demo, where we can show there's a little bit more you can do with link signal. So instead of just passing this computation, we're going to cast an object, and this object is going to take a couple of different things. It's going to take a or no, is it not an object? Maybe it's multiple parameters. I wrote the documentation for this. You think I'd remember?
Huh.
Yeah.
And as you're reading that, I just want to make a quick comment just about this. Remember, friends, with link signal, you set the initial value and the reset value. So that's super critical. That's why it worked when he was able to change the source, because like a reset of the source value, then it resets the source. So yeah, reset value and initial value, both.
And then, you know, I'll take this opportunity to show off the great documentation that we have for link signal, just so I can remember what the function signature is here.
And we get a lot of feedback about our documentation. We've been working hard on this documentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it should be an object. Unless I really messed the documentation up. No, that's not options. So what is this? In source. Okay, so I might have actually made a mistake in the documentation here, Mark. I should go fix this.
Uh-oh.
I go to the no, this is right. Because yeah. So link signal takes options that take source. Yeah, so I was okay. Documentation is fine. Documentation is fine. But yeah, this is gonna take an object and its source. This dot shipping options. Or no. That's everything. And then it's the computation, which is going to be a function, which we're going to do something with this in a second.
Hey, Michael, is Angular documentation open source as well? For example, we could use it to create our own docs for our apps we develop. Angular documentation is open source, but it's also part of like our framework at the same time. So if you fork it, to extract it to just get the docs would be a little bit of work, but it's open source. So you can get in there. You can definitely get in there.
No, that's not what I wanted. There's some like AI autocomplete in here that is like not giving me the things that I want. And then this is going to be this dot. So what is this complaining about? Oh, what is so link signal?
Okay. Cicero, you are very kind, but we know that there's opportunities to continue to improve it, and we're working really hard to do that. But thank you. Glad that you're liking the progress that we're making. Okay, let's see. I need to tonight so I can release tomorrow for free. Hey, go for it, Evan. Go ahead and update. We have been working on it. Is source a function, Jeremy?
Oh, you know what? Is that it? No, that like this should be fine because this is a signal, right? You know, it's a source is not a known property here, but when we go here to the definition, we see takes oh, I see computation. So I mean, source is right here. This is the thing I'm not getting. It's like,
but source is a function, right? That returns a value, or it's an expression. No,
signals are a function that returns a value.
Yeah. So what I'm saying though,
so yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, well, go back. You put the no, you didn't. I thought you had the parentheses after your signal shipping options.
No, this isn't WebStorm because my build over here is failing too. So I've done something dumb. And maybe chat, you can help me. Let me take this generic out of here. Maybe that's what's wrong. Yes. Thank you to mrays in chat because I forgot to remove the generic here because now it's inferring the type.
Why did the generic break that though?
It just caused it to go to a different type signature. So putting the generic there caused it to want this type signature instead of this one. Because this is a
Oh,
different generic structure here, and it's inferring some stuff.
I see. Okay.
But this is part of why this API is still an experimental, as we may tune the like the type signature of this. Okay.
Wait,
So
wait, wait.
whoops.
How's that true? I hate the angular CDK material, complicated and useless. Hey, okay, listen, friend. One, did you check out the new mat.theme? That new mat.theme is so crisp and it's so simple. Check it out first. Check it out. I mean, you can still be mad after you're done, but check it out. Just check it out, okay? And CDK, you can't tell me you did not see the new drag and drop, the new time picker. Let's bop, bop, bop. Check out all that stuff. And if you still feel the same way, you feel the same way. But just let us know. Let us know if you try the new stuff. It is still bad, okay? Satima the legend, please let us know. Oh man. Oh, sorry. I find it be so humorous when people like come in like really angry. I'm not laughing at them. It's just the like expression. It's so funny to me. People just like, I hate this. It's terrible. Angular is terrible. It's like, wait. What happened? What happened? Tell us what happened first.
All right.
Oh man.
So
Okay, Jeremy, did you fix it or you still got a underlying
I fixed it. So I got one more thing I'm going to do here. So we've got this
error?
computation, and this computation can now take in some additional parameters. We can take in the new options, and we can take in the previous value.
Yeah.
And so what we can do is say, return this dot, or not this dot. We'll say like if we have a previous value, then we will say new options. Oops. Dot find. And that is going to be some options. So like option.id equals previous dot ID. And if that doesn't exist, then we would just say new options of 0. And I think actually we can just do this. New options dot find, and then we'll make that an optional, and then we'll make that like that. And then this is complaining. What are you complaining about? Something in my signature is wrong here. I got my equals. Computation is showing up as unused, which is maybe I have typed the wrong thing in here. Whoops. Where is put that back here?
Wait, Pavel's trying to tell you something.
Previous. Oh yes, my previous is wrong. You're right. This is it has other stuff in it. So if I just take the type off of that, it complains about no implicit any, but it shouldn't be implicit any. It should infer this type. And so it's actually previous.value that I want here. And so previous is an object that has value of shipping option. So it does have that. It has another thing too, but we don't particularly care about that other thing.
Oh,
but it's still complaining. So let's dig into this error message.
That's true. When in doubt, Sean says any.
Yeah. So types of parameters previous and previous are incompatible. The thing that it is giving, so source and value. So it wants source. Wait a second. All right. For the sake of moving on with the demo, we're going to say previous of any. Something about this previous makes the type unhappy. So maybe we can, I'll figure out what I did wrong later. But if I come back to the demo now, we'll see that all my text is gone, which means I have some sort of runtime error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading value. Ah, yes, I want a question mark there as well. Cool, there we go.
Okay,
So,
recap.
yeah, that's what I'm about to do. So here's how it's working. In this link signal, I'm specifying 3 things. I'm specifying a source. This link signal will return to this computation anytime this source changes. And so the source for this link signal is this shipping options input up here. Second, I'm using a computation here, which is how to produce that initial value from this source. And so this takes in 2 things, like our new options, which is the value of this input when it changes. And it's also taking in the previous value, if there is any. If there's no previous value, it will be undefined. And so based on that, we're saying like, okay, find the option that was previously selected, and if that exists, and if it doesn't exist, then just choose the first option. And so we see here that that part at least is working because our first option is selected. And then the last thing is we're giving an equality comparator that says 2 shipping options are equal if they have the same ID. And so to see if this is actually working the way I think it's working, what we can do is say select option 2. And now if I hit change options, the super air option should go away, but ground deluxe should stay selected. Okay. Oh, it worked.
I actually love this. That is fantastic.
Yeah, so this is the more sophisticated option if you want to account for the previous value that the link signal had. If you don't care about the previous value and you just want it to revert to some initial value, you can do the original thing we had where you're just providing a single computed expression.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So then are we saying to the people that it is an anti-pattern to provide this computation, like as your computed expression?
So if you want to provide a computed as the source, you can absolutely do that. So I can
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, you remember the link signal, the first version, you just provide the reset value and the start state. Is it an anti-pattern to write more code in there that could simulate the same thing that you're doing here with the computation property?
So you're saying, let me make sure I understand what you're asking.
Yes.
So I'm just going to say like another selection here. And so we have a link signal just to kind of do what we were originally doing.
Yes.
So this dot.
But instead, put parentheses, because I want you to write a whole function in there. And I want you to like do kind of not parentheses, sorry, curly braces, so you could go like, multi-line. You see?
Yeah, like that. Right. That's not, like nothing wrong with having like a complicated thing, but you're saying like, can you break that out into?
No. I mean, in that function, I want you to do what you did on line 41. I'm saying, is this an anti-pattern?
You can't. You can't. There's no way to do that here because you have no idea what the previous value is.
You don't have the previous value. You don't have like a nice way for the previous value, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to like keep track of it manually,
right? Exactly. With your own signal, right? That you've been keeping previous value.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of link signal now, is it keeps track of this previous value for you.
So I guess what I'm doing is I'm trying to help further illuminate to the audience who may be watching, like, here's what all the value is that you could try to do all of that like manual thing, but link signal is giving you that, right? Because here's a good question from PB is like, why not just give the previous value to into the computed expression as a syntax, right? So that's what I was saying. Is literally what I was saying is like, could we do this whole thing, manually? But you could, but that defeats the point of having this nicer API that does all the work for you, like all that like connection work for you.
Yes. And the reason we even came up with this API is because the Angular team was working with the Google Fonts team to help, both like help them adopt signals, but also to like get some real life experience using signals in an application. And this is a pattern that came up over and over again as they were working on the Google Fonts code base, where it's like, like we keep needing to do this like boilerplate of like keeping a computed and a signal and like keeping these things in sync. And so that was kind of where we came to seeing like, like there's a need for something like this built into Angular.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Let's see. Somebody asked, let's see who's this. Julio Burgos says, is linked signal just kind of like effect and computed put together?
I don't think there's an effect inside. I think this is just like a particular combination of signal and computed under the hood. So I don't think there's any effects involved.
Well, but not
However,
behind, but conceptually though, this idea that you're reacting to a change and then writing to a signal
maybe
value.
there is an effect under that. But I mean, let's go look at the Angular source code.
Yeah.
I didn't actually work on the code itself. So we're gonna. I need to make sure I have the latest because I haven't.
Evgeny, so I
haven't.
agree with you that computation should be pure when you have your initial and reset value. That's why I was asking about if it was a anti-pattern, and I want us to set that precedence that this, that's not the way you should do that, right? So, no, good. We're, you're on the right. You got the right thinking, Lincoln.
So I'm just pulling the latest.
Go ahead.
I'm just pulling the latest changes from GitHub here.
Yeah, looking at the source code in the Q&A, things getting real. Michael, did you know that Jeremy and I are the realest in the streets? No, let's see, Jeremy, we got like 4 minutes left for this stream. I want to go through some questions, rapid fire, if we could.
Link signal.
That
I don't see effect being called anywhere in here.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so this is the source code for link signal. Effect is not called in here, so no effect involved.
Okay. Rock and roll.
We didn't get we didn't get a chance to talk about the resource API today, but that does have an effect under the hood. So maybe in our next stream we can talk about resource.
Friends, we'll do one more stream this year if you all promise to come. If you don't come, I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying right now, we're not going to do it. Okay. Rapid fire questions from Jeremy. Jeremy, no more code. I'm taking your code off the screen. No more code.
All right, take my code off the screen.
All right. I remember someone from the Angular team mentioning about signals and form control where it makes sense. Any news on that?
So this is one of our big goals for 2025 is we're going to be working on improvements to forms and incorporating signals into them. Stay tuned for more details as they progress.
All right, let's see. We might not be able to answer this, but let's see. For large enterprise apps, modules are key, but now every component needs standalone. False. Is there a flag in Angular JSON to specify the default for standalone?
So no. The reason there's no defaults for things like this in Angular in general is because we need, generally you need components to be compilable without having that global knowledge, because what if you have some components you're importing from node modules, right, from a library? Those may not have been written assuming that they're standalone, true or false. I would also disagree with the fact that saying for large enterprise apps, ng modules are key. From what we have seen, actually, standalone is better as you get larger and larger applications because you are losing this level of indirection.
That's right.
And there are kind of two positive consequences of losing that indirection. One is that your code just becomes easier to reason about. We've seen a lot of situations where people actually have a really hard time tracking where is this component even coming from, or where is this directive even coming from, because it's there's so many layers of ng module indirection. And then also build performance. So as your apps get larger and larger, the transitive nature of ng modules actually causes builds to be slower, because Angular cannot just look at a file and know what all of its dependencies are, because it's this component might be declared in an ng module, and that ng module might have imports. And so you have to look at a larger slice of the project as you're doing incremental builds, and it makes your edit refresh time slower. So
all right, we got to keep going, Jeremy. Still got like 12 questions. Is it effective nowadays to use Java for the backend and Angular for the front end? Define effective. I would say for this one, if that's what you want to use, then that's great. But you don't get to leverage our SSR stuff because our SSR stuff currently only works with like Node and Express.
Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with having like a Java API server, right?
That's also true.
Like you can still do your server-side rendering with Node and then have your like API or data layer in Java. It's like that is super common. And when you talk about backend, people even have different notions of like what backend means.
Yeah.
Right? Like your server that is doing your web serving and your server-side rendering, a lot of people will refer to that as a front-end server, and like the idea of calling that a backend is silly. But for people who are just like writing code in the browser all the time, only ever touching JavaScript, they might think of their web server as their backend. So all of these things are relative terms. Java is still a very popular and good choice for
massively popular language. Massive. Is it possible to run code to make the HTTP request to my API in a loop in the on-init life cycle of app.components? This is a good idea or bad idea?
I don't quite understand what it would be trying to accomplish, right? Like you could write code that does whatever you want. I would need to know more about what you're trying to accomplish here, but
yeah.
If you're trying to like poll a server for something like that, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Trying to update a project using 19 next dependencies with ng update, but packages are detected as already up to date. Any clean way to update? Or is this a tooling question?
There is a force option on ng update. Maybe give that a try.
Yeah. Okay, shouldn't v19 implicitly include undefined in the style if undefined is provided explicitly? Or is that WebStorm behind, or is WebStorm behind?
I think I don't quite understand what this is saying. Include undefined in the style. I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, let's see. That's okay. We'll come back to that if we have time. Well, actually, we do not have time. We're out of time. But I'll say this: are there any errors on progress on error boundaries or other component tree local error handling API?
No, this isn't something that we're actively working on. It is something that has been discussed from time to time, but it's not up on deck.
Okay, let's ask a few more questions on the fly. Where and when can we watch Angular documentary? They're working on a wider release very soon. You should be able to see it soon. What about this? Will we proceed further with Jest integration?
Probably, maybe. One of the things we're looking at in 2025 is iterating on the testing story a little bit. Unclear on how far we might get with that. So I don't have a concrete answer on this.
Okay, last question. Does Google use any static code analysis tools for Angular projects?
Yes.
Is there anything public that we could share with other people? Probably not, though.
Google has a ton of static analysis tools. Most of them you won't care about. And in fact, Google internally still uses TSLint and not ESLint for linting. Which in the third-party community, right, the wider web community has been like deprecated and nobody really uses it anymore. But Google forked its own version off and kept using that.
Very Google thing to do. Okay, I'll answer this one. V20 will start slowly integrating with Wiz. We already started. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, friends. I think that'll be it for our stream today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Fantastic day. Jeremy, thank you for coding with us all the time. I need to get back into coding on stream. Like, I like to do it, believe it or not. You know what I really miss, Jeremy? We should bring this back in 2025. Trying to build like the games and stuff in an hour. Like rapidly trying to build stuff. I loved when we did that, even though it was incredibly stressful. I thought it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't seem excited about it though.
I mean, I'll do whatever you want, Mark.
All right. Because that was fun. I used to love doing that. Even though people, were like, man, this dude, like, he's never gonna make it. But it was just so much fun to try to come up with an idea and do it. Okay. Jeremy, what are you reading, playing, watching right now?
Oh boy, we just started rewatching season 1 of Arcane, so that we have it fresh in our minds before watching season 2 of Arcane. That was a show I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to watching season 2. That's on Netflix. And then I'm reading a quite old book called The Dragonbone Chair. I just started it, some fantasy. Too early to tell if I like it or not.
Okay.
And playing Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm a big fan of the Dragon Age series. I'm going to reserve judgment until I get further in the game, but I don't know. I have some thoughts.
Okay. Let's see. For me, I am currently watching Silo season 2 and finishing up From season 3. From is the best show that I feel like not enough people are watching.
Oh, I've
It's
heard about
so
From.
good.
I heard it's wild.
It is so good. I was hooked from the first episode, and here I am, excited about this weekend to finish it. So watching those two, so I got my sci-fi and horror kind of mix. Then what am I reading? I'm actually about to read this LLM book that I'm really interested in. It's just, just learning more. And I'm reading a bunch of GDE books. I read so many of y'all's books. So Angular GDs, if you're watching this, y'all need to stop writing so many books. I really I try to read your books, just to support and to know what you all are writing about. What am I playing? I just started Days Gone. Listen, I am rebelling against my child. He is constantly trying to make me play Tears of the Kingdom only. And then when he goes to sleep, I've been playing Days Gone. So I need to buy a PlayStation Portal so I could play and not monopolize the television in the house at night. So I can play in my room by myself. So I'm going to buy a PlayStation Portal probably this weekend. Yeah. Nobody cares about that, but it's true.
You can, if you got a PC, you can stream PlayStation games to your PC.
I have I have a Steam Deck.
Yeah, you can. So you can do this. It requires some elbow grease, but you can stream PlayStation games to your Steam Deck, I think.
Yeah. I just don't have any time. I just don't have any time to do elbow grease. I can do whatever's fast. Whatever's fast, right? And so it's faster for me to go and pay 200 USD for PlayStation Portal than it is for me to do anything else. That's silly, but it's true. All right, friends, listen, we have loved being with you for this fantastic live stream. Thank you to the thousands of people watching us today. Really appreciate you. We're so glad that you're here with us. Listen, we think that everything is great, but the one thing that we will not compromise on is that you get out there and go build some great apps. We will see you in December. Happy holidays, friends. Peace.